Hey, bitches!
Hello.
I think we did it.
I think so. Third time's the charm.
If you guys are listening to this, that means we didn't fuck it up.
Well, yeah.
Well, that much.
We're working, kind of like last minute and with not ideal circumstances.
No, like, Jess can see me, kind of.
Yeah, I can see you.
And I can't see anything that's going on your end.
Yeah. It's by design.
So, I'm just hoping for the best.
I hope this is recording me.
Me too.
Actually.
I mean, I see, like, lines up and down on my screen, so like, I think this is working.
I think it is too. I see small ones. I might be a little soft today, guys, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, post editing Jamie actually worked today. And is trying to make this as cohesive as possible.
Yes.
So if you are listening to something, you're welcome.
Because it's literally 8 p.m. on Sunday night, we're doing this.
Yeah, which is honestly like the most like I think committed we've ever been.
Yeah. Well, it's because I had like a really long streak of not recording, and
yeah,
we have to be consistent here.
We're trying.
We're doing our best, but I'm currently feeding my child and trying to do this at the same time, and
while your husband's asleep literally next to you.
Literally right next to me. And
yeah, mine's downstairs, so
my other computer wasn't working to record, so I'm on the laptop and I don't have a microphone.
So, we're doing the best we can, really and truly.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you weren't aware, you're listening to Hot for Justice.
Oh yeah, and I'm Jessica.
And I'm Jamie.
And Jamie's drunk.
First of all, that's not fair. I've had a few mimosas today, but that's neither here nor there.
Mimosas.
Mimosas.
I love mimosas.
So good.
They are. I haven't had
But so
one.
dangerous.
Oh, they are. Very dangerous.
Like, do we need to talk about your Halloween party last year?
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't.
Yeah, that was fun, though.
When everyone's dicks were out.
Oh, no.
And by everyone's, I mean mostly just our significant others.
No. It was weird. We got a little too drunk. A little bit. We had a murder mystery party, though. It was really fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of vodka.
Yeah.
It was a great time. Oh, I can finally see you. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so I'm gonna start.
Anyways.
I'm gonna start.
It's your turn.
This is for, my friend Chelsea. She is one of my BFFs, and she just moved to Spokane, Washington from Germany, and she requested that I do a Spokane murder. So I'm gonna go outside of my California normal and do one for Chelsea. It's
into it. Let's go.
Pretty soft though, but it's kind of twisty. Oh, Wes is leaving.
Ooh, I love a good twisty bitch.
Okay. So we're taking it back to the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman named Dorothy Fielding. She, days before she disappeared, a secret admirer had kept leaving her bouquets of hand-picked flowers in her car. All that had handwritten notes that said that this guy was in love with her. She told her friends that was really creeping her out. And she was married, too, so her husband was starting to suspect, like, she was having an affair, and, she was. So, there's a lot going on here. She went missing August 19th, 1967, so, like, literally she got these flowers in her car, and then days, she disappeared.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So her car was discovered days later in a grocery store parking lot. And instead of flowers in there, there was a box of cigarettes in the console, which she didn't smoke, so it was weird.
So they weren't hers?
No. And then it was cold. 8 months later, they found her buried in a shallow grave near a vehicle park in Spokane, Washington. She was still wearing her work uniform with her name tag pinned on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they never had any leads, so it just went cold.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And shortly before she went missing, a 47-year-old woman named Ruby Lampson went missing on June 6th, so it was about 2 months before.
Okay.
She wasn't found until 1971, but she was found also in a shallow grave not far from where Dorothy Fielding had been found. Like,
Holy
very,
shit.
very close to where she had been found. Though she went missing first, she wasn't found until 1971.
So definitely not a coincidence.
No, very odd. Then, a woman named Sandra Pearson, she was discovered dead of an apparent suicide September 12th of 1967. So this was like a month after Dorothy Fielding and 3 months after Ruby Lampson.
Okay.
But people thought it was a suicide, right? So she was found in a vehicle in the garage of her home that she shared with her husband, Duke Pearson, and a few of their children.
Okay.
There was a hose leading from the exhaust to the rear window of the car. Tinfoil was found stuffed in the exhaust pipe of the vehicle, and the garage door was closed. She obviously, like carbon monoxide, thought that she, they thought she killed herself. But detectives found that the garage, there was a lot of exhaust in the garage, but the engine wasn't running.
Oh.
The ignition switch was on, and the gas tank was still half full. So they were like, it's weird. She was 20 weeks pregnant.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, like, I feel like if you're gonna, like, kill yourself like that, like, all the gas would be gone, no?
Yes. If you just, yeah. I mean,
because, like, it just,
probably.
like, goes until, like, the engine stops, right?
Yeah. Or somebody finds you first. Which,
right. I feel like there's, like, no in between, like, those two things.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Somebody could have, there wasn't, like, a ton of detail. I mean, maybe her husband, like, found her and then turned the car off. But I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
but I feel like it would be, like, reported on.
Her children didn't think so. As adults, they thought that their father had done it to her.
Oh, fuck.
Apparently, the garage door was malfunctioning, so she would have had to close it manually. And they said she was really small, so they didn't think that she could have done it. And she was 20 weeks pregnant. But
I mean, how were you when you were 20 weeks pregnant? Could you have, like, done a garage door manually?
I don't know, because I've never done one manually before, but I wasn't really showing it. Like, I was still pretty small at 20 weeks pregnant, so.
Like, I feel like that's, like, when you told me you were pregnant was around that time?
I think I was, like, 13.
You might have been, like, more like 13. Yeah.
13, yeah.
But, I mean, like, still.
Yeah. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do it.
Right. There's, like, zero motivation for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just kind of strange. But, it happened in the 60s, so it was written off. And you're probably wondering what all of these cases have to do with each other, because they're all very different. Well, some of them, in a way. Well, they were reopened in April of last year, and it turned out that Dorothy Fielding, the first woman, and the second woman, Ruby Lampson, were friends.
Oh.
Right. They were found very close together. Both of them were clothed. So the investigators were like, I feel like this has something to do with each other.
Yeah, like, it's not like a weird sex crime.
Right.
Maybe.
No, I don't think they were sexually assaulted.
Right.
And upon further investigating, reports had indicating that Dorothy Fielding was having an affair with Duke Pearson, none other than the third woman's husband.
Oh, shit.
Yes. He was a security guard at the place that she'd worked.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, he had been interviewed after Fielding had disappeared, but the sheriff let him go. He was actually he had worked for the sheriff's department, 1958 to 1966, before quitting. People described him as, like, having a really weird attitude, and, like, he was kind of going off the rails a little bit, a little unstable. So people were like, well, why would he kill her? What motive would he have to kill really any of them? But the Dorothy Fielding, they found, like, the most motive. Apparently they had been having, he was who she was having an affair with.
Oh, shit, okay.
And he had told his cousin weeks before she disappeared that he was in a bind because he was repairing his marriage with his wife Sandra, who quote unquote committed suicide. But then he found out his girlfriend was pregnant.
I wish y'all could, like, see, like, the recording that's going on right now. Because, like, I just feel like this face of, like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, hard pass.
Yeah.
Because I don't buy that for one fucking second.
Yeah. So, the detectives got an arrest warrant for him. He was 85 now.
Oh my god!
For the murder of Dorothy Fielding, only to find he'd literally died 3 days before of natural causes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So, oh my
in
gachos.
2018, detectives have flown to his home in Alabama to talk to him. By then, he'd been divorced twice, spent 2 years in federal prison for his role in a cocaine smuggling operation, and he had lived in the Philippines at some point.
Holy shit.
Apparently, he said he didn't remember anything related to Fielding or Lampson, the second woman.
Of course not.
Despite that he could remember other facts about the 60s and 70s. He denied knowing her or, like, even hearing her name, and he denied being interviewed by police for her disappearance, which he was.
Oh my god.
And then the detective asked him about flowers in Fielding's car, and he said yes. He loved to give flowers to women back then, but he said without any doubt it was from me. But you'd never heard of her, so what?
I don't like this at all.
Yeah. So the case is very circumstantial, but I mean, it was enough to get an arrest warrant for him.
Right.
But yeah, so they were investigating him for her murder, and then since the other woman, Ruby Lampson, had, like, been found in a very similar way, and they were friends, they figured he probably had something to do with that too.
Right, like they're interconnected in some way or shape or form.
And, I mean, just kind of the suspicious circumstance of his wife's suicide is just, I don't know. I mean, maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but they kind of suspect him for that too. Even his kids do.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it one bit.
They said, her kids said it was kind of out of character for her to, like, to have done that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I got all that information from 2 news articles, which I'll post. One by Travis Fedshun and one by Megan Flynn. So,
Ew.
yes. There's not, like, a ton of detail about the cases themselves, because it's more like human interest, the fact that he was,
right,
you know, they were going to arrest him and then he died of, like, natural circumstances. It's pretty shitty timing. So,
yeah, like borderline suspect.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about, like, what I'm about to talk about. So
we're on the same wavelength, apparently.
Totally. So I was telling you about this, and I was also telling Jackson about it earlier today because we recorded our other podcast, Casual Plug.
Muggle Probs.
Yes, I'll link it in the show notes. So I have an Audible subscription. If you're familiar with that, or I guess if you're not familiar, it's basically like you get a credit for, like, any audiobook you want every month from Amazon, and you can, like, listen to any audiobook no matter what price for, like, $15 a month.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored. We would love to be.
Shout out Amazon.
If Jeff Bezos is listening, or anyone that wants to give us money, that'd be great. If not, that's also cool. Whatever. But so you get, like, your main book, the one that's, like, the $15 book, and then you also get, like, 2 Audible originals every month.
Yeah.
And those are just, like, 2 books that you can only get if you have a subscription. So one of the books I got this month was called My Lost Family by this guy named Danny Ben-Moshe. I might have fucked up his last name.
It's okay.
If I did, I'm so sorry.
We do our best.
We do.
Odds of him listening are none.
Exactly. So the audiobook is actually, and I don't know if I should be saying this or not, because it's, like, kind of, like, a little sketchy, but, like, you can, like, bootleg it on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
If you, we'll post a link.
We don't condone that, though.
But we'll post a link anyways. Because we're assholes. But, you know, you gotta get your own, right?
Hey, I'm sure he wants people to listen to his book.
100%. But he also did, like, a documentary based on all of this.
Oh, okay.
But I couldn't find anywhere to stream it. Like, I looked up, down, left, right, and center. Because, like, he, I guess, released it in, like, Australia or something a few years ago.
Interesting.
Right, but I could not find anywhere to stream it. Like, I was trying so fucking hard, I could not. So, anyway, I have the audiobook. Again, it's on YouTube if you don't want to pay for the Audible subscription. Again, I don't know how, like, legit me saying that is.
It's not.
I'm pretty sure that just, like, canceled any sort of subscription or any sort of deal we'd ever have with Audible.
Yeah, way to go.
I mean, don't bootleg it on YouTube. That's bad news bears. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Anyways, you should, because it's a good book.
Oh my God. It's a vodka. She's all over the place.
It's a great book if you do listen to it. It's only like an hour and a half. It's actually very short, but it's very fucking interesting. Like, I was not expecting it to be this good.
Okay.
So it's about this guy. So Danny Ben Moshe. I'm pretty sure I'm fucking up his name.
It's okay.
It's fine. So he, while he was growing up, it was like his parents and like his sister, and he was like, okay, this is my family, cool. And then when he was like in his late teens, early 20s, his mom was like, oh, BT dubs, I had 2 other kids with a guy before your dad.
Oh.
And he was like, excuse me? So this is that story. So Danny Ben Moshe grew up in England, and that's where his parents are from. This entire story is basically his mom's like coming of age and like having kids story.
Okay.
So when his mom was like 15 or 16, she met this guy in like this like Jewish community in London. His name was Raymond, and she was like super smitten with him. Like, she was like, oh my God, he's so cute, like totally like want to date him, right? So he like comes from like this like very wealthy like Iranian family.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved there when he was 20 to like go study in England and, you know, get his education, like do his like, you know, college thing. And so they met at this like Christmas party in 1953, and she was like 15 at the time.
Okay.
So already like she's very young for him. So they meet at this Christmas party, like they fall in love, and then they end up having 2 kids together, getting married. Like, it was like her first love. It was like this big to do, because she grew up in this like very poor like Jewish family in like this like part of like East London, where it was like, I guess like kind of like their Jewish community. Like her mother was like a Holocaust survivor, and like it was like a big thing. So, and this is like, again, like mid 50s. So they end up having a couple kids together, and then they end up all moving into this like studio apartment together, basically in like 1957.
Okay.
And she's living with her now husband, her 2 kids, and her parents. And like Raymond's like, you know, this is like a lot for me, gotta bounce, like can't do this. So they get a separation, and like he has like basically like visitation rights on like weekends with the kids.
Uh-huh.
And this one Saturday in 1957, he's like, hey, can I visit Michelle and Andrew and take them to the park? And at the time, Michelle is, I believe, 2 and Andrew's 3. And she's like, yeah, like, go ahead, take him to the park. Like, this is your typical Saturday shit. Like, whatever. After 3 hours, like, they weren't back yet. So they're like, oh, this is a little bit longer than, like, usual when he'd take them to the park. But it's fine. And then, like, all of a sudden, like, a couple hours later, they're like, it's kind of been a while. Like, he took the kids and, like, he's not back yet. And then, all of a sudden, like, they realize it's like nightfall, and they're like, the kids aren't back. Like, what's going on?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she didn't even know where her now soon-to-be ex-husband like lived at the time. Like, she didn't know like where he was staying.
That's weird.
Yes, but also again, it's the mid-50s. Like, there's no reason to like not believe your like soon-to-be ex-spouse about anything. But it's like a little bit odd.
A little bit.
So even at this time, she's like, you know what, like they'd gone off, like they were just gonna like maybe do some stuff. Like, what were we gonna do? Like, we couldn't file anything with the police. Like, it's like his kids.
Right.
And like, you know, maybe like he took them, and like, you know, it's just gonna be like an overnight thing. Like, it's fine. A couple days go by, and they're like, oh fuck, like I don't think these kids are coming back. So they're like all of a sudden like, oh fuck, like what do we do?
Yeah.
And like they didn't go to the police at the time. Like, that's like one of the biggest things that like the writer, I guess, or documentary, the director. I'm not really sure. It's like weird because it's like his own family. I don't like know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But he's just like, yeah, like I was like, did you go to the cops? And she was like, well, no, because, like, it's his own kid. Like, what were we supposed to do? Like, it was the mid-50s. Like, what? Like, there's nothing you really can do.
Right. Well, it's, like, not like now where there's parental kidnappings. Like,
exactly.
That's like,
at the time, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
It was unheard of, and they were just like, oh, like, if it's legally his kid, like, what the fuck can you actually do?
Yeah.
So, basically, for a little bit of background, like, Rabin's family is, like, hella rich, and his family was always like, oh, like, Lillian, his mom, like, she's, like, not good enough for you, she'll never be good enough for you. Like, it's, like, it was, like, a big thing. So when they got married, like, his family was like, oh, like, who the fuck? Like, did you actually marry? Like, it's, like, a very, like, hierarchical thing.
Yeah.
And, like, a classist thing. And for the time, unfortunately, kind of makes sense. So they're just like, oh yeah, like, he'd gone off with the kids and, like, there was nothing we could do about it. Like, that's just, like, how things were at the time. Like, that was literally just, like, how it was.
So awful.
Right? Like, could you imagine?
No.
Like, absolutely not. And she was just like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, why we didn't really go to the police, but, like, it just never really occurred to us because, like, we didn't think it was a crime because it was a family affair.
I would literally hunt somebody down.
1,000%. So, this is, like, again, like, 1953, like, nothing happens, and she's like, yeah, like, we didn't, like, really pursue anything because, like, we didn't know, like, we legally could.
Yeah.
And she's like, I was young and immature, and, like, I just carried on, like, the way I knew how. Like, just, like, get a job and, like, you know, get remarried and just move on with my life.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and, like, that's what she talks about. She's like, yeah, like, and then I ended up meeting, like, my, you know, now husband for life. And it ended up being, like, a lot better, but, like, you know, it was just because of this, like, one, like, super duper shitty situation. So, like, about a decade later, she meets this man named Henry, and, like, they get married. And then they have 2 kids, which are Danny, who's written the story, and then his sister Ira. And then after she gave birth to the 2 kids, Lillian, the mom, had fallen into, like, a really deep depression.
Yeah.
Like, not, like, postpartum depression, which is, like, you know, fairly normal.
Yeah.
But, like, it was, like, she was, like, committed to a hospital because, like, she was so fucked up. Because, like, all of a sudden she has these 2 kids with this husband that loves her, and she's like, oh my god, like, what about these 2 kids that were, like, taken from me?
Yeah.
Like, she, like, started spiraling, basically. And also, like, the mid-60s, like, mental health care, like, wasn't, like, a thing.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with her. They, like, again, like, just basically committed her to, like, a mental ward, and, like, until she was, like, quote-unquote good enough to, like, go home.
That's sad.
Yeah, like, no one ever, like, asked her, like, what happened, like, what, like, kickstarted everything. She, like, didn't realize that it, like, all spurred from, like, her kids being taken away from her.
Yeah.
Like, she just thought she was fucked up. So then, like, 30 years after that, even, it's 1996, and Lillian's at home, with her friend Betty. They get the mail, and Lillian's, like, you know, fumbling through the letters, and all of a sudden she goes, like, white as a sheet, according to her friend, and she starts trembling. She has this letter from the Salvation Army from her kid. I've tried looking for you for 12 years, and I'd love for you to come back to London and, you know, meet me for the first time.
Wow.
And this is her daughter, Michelle, who is now at this point, like, in her, like, early 40s.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I traced you down through, like, a Salvation Army thing. Like, I knew, like, based on what my dad told me, like, where you were, relatively. Because, like, her dad and her brother, like, they didn't, like, discourage her from, like, looking for her mom. But they weren't, like, excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, her dad, Raymond, the guy that, like, took them and left, was just like, oh, yeah, like, this is, like, where she, like, this is where I picked you guys up from, basically.
That's awful.
But he's like, yeah, like, I'm not telling you basically anything else, because, like, I know nothing else. And, like, even her brother is just like, yeah, like, Mom never looked for us, like, why do you care so much?
Wow.
So it's, like, actually, like, really fucking sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
Yeah, and so, like, the daughter's like, I've been looking for you for, like, 12 years. Please write back, and, like, I'd love to, like, meet you in London. So they all met, and everyone's like, holy fucking shit, like, we have this, like, whole ass family that we didn't, like, really know about.
Yeah.
Right? And so basically, Michelle then, like, tells Lillian and Danny, like, what happened, like, after she got kidnapped by her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so she's like, so I didn't know about, like, that day. I didn't realize I was kidnapped until I had met my birth mom. Which is, like, fucking insane.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was like, yeah, like, I was always told by my dad that, like, my birth mom didn't know how to take care of us, and she didn't really even want us. So, like, he left with us and, like, moved to Iran.
That's so awful.
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, like, your mom, like, doesn't give a fuck about you. She's not a good mom. So I took you here. And then he puts both the kids in boarding school.
Wow.
And, like,
what's the point?
Exactly. And then, like, he, like, never, like, kicks it with them. He never does anything. Like, he doesn't, like, even on holidays, like, he leaves their asses there. Like, it's a huge thing. Like, basically the brother, like, the entire time was like, yeah, like, my sister was, like, basically like a mom to me. Because, like, she was the only, like, adult, quote-unquote, adult figure I ever knew. So, like, all this shit happened, like, and, like, while we were growing up, like, we thought our grandparents were our parents for a minute, and my dad was like, oh, no, like, I'm your dad. Brought them to boarding school. It was, like, a big fucking thing.
Wow.
So then, like, when Michelle's in her 30s, she's like, you know what? I want to find out who my real mom is, because, like, this is, like, fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, my childhood, I feel like, is, like, an entire lie. Which it was.
Yeah.
And she's like, and again, like, in the book and the documentary, I'm assuming, she's like, yeah, like, Raymond never, like, withheld information from me, but, like, I had to, like, prod him for it.
Yeah. She never got the whole truth.
Exactly. And he was always like, oh, like, your grandma was this bitch, like, all the stuff, like, your grandma was the reason, like, we never, like, were a family. Like, fucking insane. So, in the audiobook, and again, I'm assuming the documentary, but I never actually got to watch it.
Yeah.
The author, Ben, gets to actually have, like, a conversation with his, like, grandfather, I suppose, or step grandpa? Stepdad.
Wait.
Stepdad.
Say your sentence again.
Huh?
Say that sentence again.
So, the author got to have a conversation with Raymond, who would have been his stepfather?
No, I mean, I guess not really any relation, right?
Right, because that was his mom's husband before he was involved.
Yeah, so it would
I don't know how you would, like, relate that.
No relation.
Anyways, right. So he ends up having, like, a full-on conversation with him, and he was like, yeah, like, Lillian was never on my level, like, when you're married, you're supposed to marry on your level, like, she was more poor than I was, so, like, my parents always resented her, I was young and didn't realize that it was an issue, like, your grandmother was a huge bitch, she wanted to put the kids up for adoption.
Wow.
So he, like, told his children, like, oh, like, your grandmother wanted to put you up for adoption because your mother was an unfit mother.
Wow.
So I kidnapped you to give you a better life.
What a nice guy.
The best guy.
Wow.
Like, isn't this insane?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like, the kids, like, don't really trust anything he has to say. Like, ever. Like, especially at that point, because they're like, wait a minute. Like, that sounds a little, like, fishy, right?
Yeah.
So, then, while they're in boarding school, this lady, Amanda, comes in the picture, and his dad, like, is smitten with her, and, like, he's so in love, and he's like, this is gonna be your stepmom, and they're like, okay, cool. Like, maybe actually get him, like, a mother figure.
Yeah.
And then, like, they all move into a house, like, in Iran together, and then he goes to England to, like, do, like, some business stuff. And all of a sudden, he comes back in the summer, and he has these 2 extra kids with him, and she's like, who are these kids? And he's like, oh, by the way, I have this other wife.
What?
And I've had 2 other kids with this whole ass other wife. By the way, this lady Amanda is pregnant with his kid.
Oh my god.
So, like, he comes home, and she's like, with these 2 kids, and she's like, excuse me? Like, I'm pregnant with your fucking child. Like, and I have your 2 kids from your previous marriage.
Wow. What a nice guy.
Yeah, like, he's fucking insane, dude. Like, I cannot, like...
What a keeper.
Facts. And so, she's like, well, like, are you gonna leave the other bitch, or, like, what's up?
Oh my god.
He's like, I can't leave her, like, she's had 2 of my kids, and she's like, I'm pregnant with your other kid.
Right. What a
And
psycho.
He's like, that sucks. Like, either you're gonna stay or not.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and like also he's like a wife beater, so like he beats the shit out of her while she's like pregnant with his kid.
Wow.
And so she goes to the cops, and it's in like Iran, and they're like, oh, like you're your husband's property, like we can't do shit for you.
Ugh.
Because that's just how the culture is there.
Yeah.
Or at least it was in the late 90s. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's kind of how it was here, too, in the,
Right.
Yeah.
And so she's like, so what am I supposed to fucking do with these, like, 4 kids that aren't mine?
Right.
And I am pregnant with the other kid. And he was like, well, it's okay. It's a holiday season right now. It's, like, summertime. Once it's school time, I'll send these 2 kids back with their mom. And then it'll just be the 2 kids and us and the new baby when they arrive.
Oh, my God.
And she's like, okay.
I would have lost my shit.
Fucking same. She's, like, so patient. So, all of a sudden, it's, like, school time, and she's like, okay, like, where the fuck are these kids supposed to go? Like, didn't you say they were leaving? And he was like, oh, actually, their mom sucks. Like, we're gonna keep them.
Oh, my God.
I can't make this up. And she's like, what? And he was like, yeah, sorry. Also, gotta go on a business trip later days. So he, like, pieces out. And she's like, what the fuck? And it's, like, a weekend. And all of a sudden, like, the other 2 kids' mom comes, like, busting through the door. And she's like, where the fuck are my kids?
Oh, my God.
And she's like, excuse me? And she's like, where are my children? Like, Raymond took my kids away from me. And, like, I finally tracked them down. So she takes her 2 kids and, like, pieces back out to London. And, like, Amanda's just like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Right? And so now not Amanda, the actual 2 kids of Raymond and Lillian
Yeah.
are like, wait a minute, just a fucking minute. It's, Andrew and Michelle. They're like, whoa, why didn't our mom ever come and, like, try to rescue us?
Right.
So now they're butthurt. That their, like, mom never came and, like, collected them. So Michelle's like, you know what, I'm, like, a teenager, I'm just gonna go to, like, boarding school in America, and then go get a degree and just distance myself from everybody else. So she moves to LA. And she, like, pieces the fuck out from her dad, which is, like, honestly, like, a power move.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Definitely. So, like, she pieces out, and, like, Andrew, like, finishes, like, high school, basically, and then, like, moves out to LA with her. But then finally, like, again, like, decades later, they find their mom.
Wow.
And then they're like, oh my god. So then Ben does all the interview series, like, with his family, like, his half-siblings, his, I guess, technically no relation father, Raymond.
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 years ago, Raymond gets murdered.
Oh, really?
Yes, I just saw you fucking turn your head, like, bitch, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Raymond, so the entire time, he's been, like, working with, like, kind of illegitimate deals and, like, shitty, like, real estate stuff. He gets murdered out of a real estate deal.
Wow.
So, yeah, like, 3 years ago, he gets fucking murdered in his home in Iran.
What are the odds?
Yeah. That's what happens when you're a fucking shitty human being.
I'm shook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, it was a twisty bitch.
That is twisty. That's so sad, though.
It's very fucking sad.
I can't imagine.
No, like, could you, like, again, like, could you fucking imagine, like, basically, like, having kids with somebody, and then being like, oh, later days, I'm taking my kids with me,
No.
move to another fucking country, and you never see them again for 40 years?
No. I would literally track that person down.
Yeah, and, like, they, like, went to, like, different, like, embassies and stuff, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing you can do. Like, it's their kids, so, like, by law, like, there's nothing you can fucking do.
Okay.
Right, but, again, this was, like, the 50s.
But now, yeah.
In 2019, I'm sure it's a lot different.
Yeah.
But, like, that's basically the story of that book.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, now I don't have to read it, but that's crazy.
I know. I'm sure Drunk Me told it very well.
No, it's crazy. That's so sad.
Yeah. Again, it's only, like, 2 hours if you want to actually listen to the audiobook. We'll post the link.
Okay.
Again, not sure how, like, legal that is.
We'll post the audiobooks link, Jamie.
I like where your head's at. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll post the link to the Audible.
If you really want to break the law, y'all can just go on YouTube.
It's called My Lost Family.
Do it yourself.
I'm going to hell.
It's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Was there anything fun and fresh that you did this week? On that bummer note?
Well, I have, I did. There was something. I'm reading that book by the guy, the Mindhunter guy I talked about last week.
Yes.
I'm continuing reading, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Literally read it or listen to it, however you like your books.
Yeah. If you Audible or otherwise.
Yes. And then also I watched something that was so good, but now I cannot remember.
Perfect.
What it is.
Was it spooky?
Oh, okay. The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes on Oxygen. It's so good. The first episode is better than the second, but the first episode is so twisty. I don't want to, go into too much detail, but essentially, he figures out a serial killer because he's Paul Holes.
Because he's a motherfucking G.
Yeah, so literally so good. It's on Oxygen. I highly recommend.
I'll have to check that out.
And,
I actually haven't watched it yet.
Not completely unfortunate looking, so.
To be fair, he's pretty much a stud for, a man his age.
And for a nerd.
True.
He's obviously so smart, and he's just, really good looking.
Facts. The foxiest of the silver foxes.
Yeah, he's old enough to be my dad, I'm pretty sure, but I'm into it.
I'm gonna throw up. I'm trying to think, what have I watched this week? I watched Hocus Pocus for the first time yesterday.
For the first time?
I know.
Who are you? I'm sorry.
I'm a fake Halloween fan.
I don't even know you.
Yeah, my friend Mackenzie made me watch it, and I'm not disappointed. It was a great film.
I just can't with you.
I know, you're very upset with me. I can see it in your face.
I am. Peak upset.
I can fucking tell.
Okay.
And then
childhood, apparently.
I didn't. And I just watched tonight Halloween 3.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's arguably my favorite, Halloween time movie.
I definitely haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Halloween 3?
I don't think I've seen Halloween 1, 2 either.
So, this is, honestly a standalone film from Halloween 1 and 2.
Okay.
And the whole, quote, Halloween franchise.
Okay.
Because, Halloween's, Mike Myers, right?
Oh, yeah, with the creepy mask.
Right, this is a standalone film. Because they were let's do this thing, where it's, not like the other ones. But it kind of failed, question mark.
Does it have What's-Her-Face in it?
Who's What's-Her-Face?
Is it new?
No.
Okay, never mind.
This definitely came out in, 82.
Okay. Yeah, no. I'm thinking, the girl who plays the mom on Freaky Friday.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes, because they just did a reboot of the original Halloween.
Okay.
Because she was, the main character in that.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they did, a reboot of that. Within this last year.
Yeah.
So Halloween 3, again, the producers, or whatever, tried to, stray away from, the, Mike Myers thing. They're let's just make this, its own thing. But, literally, this is its own movie, and then, the rest of the Halloween franchise is, back to Mike Myers.
That's weird.
It's very weird, but it's very good. It's, again, arguably my favorite Halloween movie.
Yeah.
This is the one, if you've ever seen the Halloween movies that are, 6 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. That one?
No.
Okay, great. I just embarrassed myself on the internet.
I'm here for it.
Excellent.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. I don't sing a lot. There's reasons.
Oh my gosh.
That's the biggest one. But no, great film.
Okay.
Definitely recommend it. It's on Hulu, because you share our Hulu account.
I do. Well, I have my own, but I do go on yours to watch HBO stuff.
Yeah, I think it's HBO, technically.
Because I don't have, like, that HBO add-on for mine.
We also have a live TV add-on if you haven't hopped on that. I mean, I'm sorry, Hulu what?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, it was very, very fun. So definitely recommend.
Okay. We'll see. I probably won't watch it before
You
Halloween.
won't, but it's okay.
But maybe. I'll keep it in mind. If it's scary, I don't like scary movies.
It's not scary. It's
Okay.
like, the best way to describe is spoopy.
Okay.
It's definitely spoopy.
I can try it then.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
Okay. Alright,
Yeah,
guys.
that's all the like shit I have.
Yeah.
I'll think of anything else. Next week we'll be back with. When is this episode coming out?
Tomorrow.
Right, tomorrow. So there'll be a whole last week before Halloween. So we're gonna have like a regular episode after this, and then
A spooky episode.
a spooky episode. So be prepared.
Get ready. From some
'Cause
supernatural
I'm not even ready.
shit.
Be ready for your spooky spaghetti.
It's
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, spooky spaghetti. Better tune in.
Yes.
Alright.
It's not creepypasta, it's spooky spaghetti.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, so we'll see you next week, and then we'll see you next Wednesday for the spooky spaghetti episode.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
Make sure you like and subscribe
Yes.
and do all of the ratings and shit,
Please.
because it helps us and it helps the algorithm.
Yeah.
And let a friend know that you like us.
Yeah.
Or if you don't like us, don't tell anybody about that,
Yeah.
because that's not fun for anybody.
Keep that to yourself.
Yeah, no one needs that negativity in their life.
And it hurts our feelings. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
That was glorious.